music. And that's what we hear in our hearts. And I imagine that's what your grandmother would hear and then pour out. She would hear that call from heaven to be loving towards you, to be nurturing towards you, and to feel that loss when she's not physically present. But then for her to hear that call to heaven when it was time for her to go home. And then for you to still feel her now, that she calls back to you, which is amazing, amazing. You know, we were just at a funeral this last week, and it was a powerful yet simple message when the pastor stood up to say that there was going to be an empty seat. Now, that when he looks out into the congregation, that it's going to be void, but left such a huge impact of his example of his life. And the way he likened his life to was a story of a very famous actor in London who was called to give the Psalms 23. And he had it memorized. He knew the psalm. Let me just read Psalm 23 to you right now. So just imagine the Lord speaking, or us speaking this even to the Lord at any given moment in our lives, right? Psalm 23 is just so powerful to have written in the tablet of our heart. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Imagine a shepherd, when he would have his sheep lie down, they would be afraid of the water. So what the shepherd would do is create a trough where the sheep could drink from without the rushing water having them be afraid. So this correlation of, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Because God is our shepherd, we have no wants. He's making a trough for us to drink in so that we don't have to be afraid. And when they lied down in the green pastures, they were moments of replenishing your soul, right? He leads me beside the still waters, and then my soul is restored. He guides me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake, not for our name's sake, but for God's name's sake, so that God gets the glory when we do reach and finally connect with that source of peace inside of us, like Dylan just played, when heaven calls. That is beside the still waters, for his name's sake. And though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, though we have nightmares in this world, though we experience the opposite of peace in this world, even though we walk through that shadow, we will fear no evil. No evil. For you are with me. God is with me. Your grandmother is with you. That love that went to be back with God is not gone from you, as so eloquently came through a beautiful song, through beautiful music, Dylan, that moved you. I will fear no evil, you are with me. Your rod and your staff and your piano, they comfort me. Music comforts me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Sometimes that's family members. Sometimes that's people on the street. Sometimes that's people in the news. Sometimes that's everywhere. But God literally prepares a table in the presence of my enemies. A table prepares it. That means that there's food, there's festivities, there's nurturing that is possible. It's what keeps us alive. It's what keeps us present. If everything was just roses and daisies and giddy joy, we wouldn't be as awake as we would be prepared at a table in the presence of our enemies. You anoint my head with oil. We're anointed by our Father, Mother God, so that our cup overfloweth. It's not dependent on the enemies in front of us and our table to fill our cup. Our cup is full because heaven calls. Heaven is calling us forward. My cup runneth over. And because our cup runneth over, surely goodness and love and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. And where is the house of the Lord? It's right here. It's in a song. It's in music. It's in a piano. It's when we witness a gift given by God through fingers like Dylan, who brings heaven closer to us. So imagine this pastor this week is sharing that this emptiness of this seat, right? And yet he likened it to a very famous actor who got up and he read this Psalms 23 before a crowd, very dramatically, very eloquently, very profound. And guess what everybody did? They gave a clap. It was a wonderful performance. And then there was an old man who came up and he spoke from the depths of his being Psalm 23. So much so that the crowd was moved to tears. Some people were even sobbing. What was the difference in the performance? What caused a crowd to just be moved to tears? And what had a crowd just go, that was wonderful? The biggest difference between the actor, the paid actor, was that he knew Psalm 23. The difference with the older man who read Psalm 23 was that
the way they said it was the actor knew the message.
Knew the message. And well, he could quote it. And the old man who cited Psalm 23 knew the shepherd. He actually knew God intimately, experientially. Imagine the difference of hearing just a message that is recited versus a message that comes from here because of knowing the shepherd, knowing the Father. That's how Dylan plays. Dylan doesn't just recite music. He plays from here.
Well, and you were mentioning, Dylan, that you had this vision that you hadn't had before, that everything was music. You are familiar with the Eastern philosophy that everything in the universe emanated from the cosmic sound of Om.
Oh.
They actually believed that, everything in the universe was made of sound, and that by speaking, when it says God said, let there be light, it doesn't say God created light. God said, let there be light. So he used sound to create the entire universe. And then in Western religion, we have, a lot of similarities. God said, and prayers, hymns singing, the angels singing, and there's a lot of references to that. What's really fascinating is I'm an engineer, I'm a scientist. And I remember when I was a kid and I went through school, they told us that all matter was made of energy. Remember that? And it's all made of protons, electrons, and neutrons, and it's electrical energy, and the electrons are in the outer, sphere, and you don't really touch anything. It's just an electrical field that you're touching. Well, they found out that's not true. So they reinvented it. Every 20 years, science reinvents itself. The second philosophy was quarks. Now everything's not made of sound. Now it's all made of light, and it's all condensed light, and everything's, really at its very core. The electrons are even made of light, and that's where that comes from. And then there was that lasted for about 20 years, and the most prominent theory now is called string theory. And the reason it's called string theory is because scientists say it doesn't act like it's made of energy, and it doesn't act like it's made of light. It acts like it's made of sound. And it's called string theory because it's as if somewhere in the cosmos, someone is plucking strings that are actually creating the sound that coagulates into the matter that we call mass, that is the reality we live in. So when you say you just realized, imagine that everything's made of sound, the fact is it is now scientifically proven.
And not just sound, music.
What is music? Music is sound constructed to actually create something beautiful.
That vibrates. And so you think about the words that we use, right? The words that we use, the message that we speak, the message that we live, the example that we are. There's something so powerful for someone who knows the shepherd and knows that he is forgiven, that she is forgiven. When you truly know that at a vibrational level, at a sound level, at an ohm level, there is nothing in you that would hurt another human being. Nothing.
And there's a reason why the Bible's not called the truth. It's called the Word. And you think about that, right? When Tamara and I were doing self-help, if you think about it, you just mentioned you've come out of a pretty dark period. And I have to say, Dylan, wherever you came from, you are one hell of a beautiful man. Mm-hmm. The stuff that you do, the way that you present, and your authenticity. You're not like, Tamara's got a particular personality. She's just throwing hugs around everybody. We have a friend that jokes about it. She hugs you with her eyes, right? Mm-hmm. And that's not really you. But who you are is so authentic. We've been to dinner with you and everything. You're just so authentic with your rawness and what you've been through. And it's like, that I think has been really what accelerates so quickly, where you've been able to say, you know what, who I am is okay. Because who you are is presented. You're not putting out some facade, which is really cool. And then when you do feel that beauty, the music you have is so authentic and so raw. And, Tamara and I worked in self-help. And if you think about it, the times when you've been the most depressed and the worst off is when the words going through your head. It's not the thoughts, because we think in words. We think, when I screw something up, I say things to myself in my head. I'm not just sitting there going, no, thinking of light and rainbows. I'm actually thinking really concrete words that are heavily judgmental and critical. And then when we are in a good space, and we're feeling God's presence, it's the words in our head that are actually creating that environment that we live in. So Tamara and I would do these workshops where we get people just to speak something new. Like, who do you say that I am? Because what's going on in your head means way more than if I say I'm the Son of God. What does that mean? That's just what I know. If you say I'm a blasphemer or whatever, that's where you got to live with your version of me. So Tamara and I would work with people to get them to say things like, I can do this. We had a woman come in recently that said, I'm so frustrated, people aren't paying me what I'm worth. I'm like, well, what are you worth? She's like, $35 an hour. What are they paying you? 20. And I'm like, okay, so say I'm worth $35 an hour. She said, okay. I said, no, say it right now. And she struggled with it. Because for her to say that was power in her body, creating in the universe a new reality. And then so we got her to say it a number of times. She was really comfortable with it. And I said, now say it whenever you're at work. My rate is $35 an hour, and you're going to create a whole world, right, where that exists. So to have you, come to this realization that music is what everything's made of, which words are so much. We run a Toastmasters group, and people come in and they just learn how to speak. They learn, you play the instrument, you know how to sing, you're using your voice, and your emanations are creating a new reality. And just getting people to speak the words they speak every day in front of a room where it's a declaration, and have it land with people and have them change their voice tone or their body language. It's a whole realization. It's a whole new world when you realize that it's all made of sound. So congratulations. It's all music.
It's so beautiful.
What a great realization.
And what's beautiful is that if you can imagine it, you can achieve it.
If you just speak
So
it.
if the world is made of music, what is the song that's playing in your head?
Amen.
What's the song that's playing in my head? And there's nothing like being at a table in the presence of my enemy that I need a song more than ever, right? So, or in the face of loss, or in the face of whatever it is, imagine yourself being able to go to the kingdom of heaven within, to call, heaven calls from inside. Heaven calls and says, Tamara, I'm here. Greg, I'm here. Dylan, I'm here. Jerry, I'm here. Ray, I'm here. Judy, I'm here. Bert, I'm here. Just dive deep. Dive into me. And I will give you your song. I will give you that vibration. Even though we walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Even though we sit at a table in the presence of my enemies. There's no better time than to call on that song. What is the song that's reverberating? What is the song that's playing? Take notice, be aware, be awake in this dream. We do get the choice to wake up in this dream. We don't have to stay asleep. We don't have to have knee-jerk reactions. Well, I'm just doing this because that's how I was brought up. Well, that's just what's familiar to me. I would say, bull. That's just crap. You do not have to keep knee-jerk responding in the way you've always done because that's what you witnessed. Play a new video, get a new DVD, get a new hard drive, get a new flash drive. Whatever that is, get your song. Get your music. Do not let the music die in you. Play your song that is gifted to you by your Father, that is granted to you by an angel in heaven, by your grandmother in heaven, who heaven calls. That's what Dylan did. It called forth this morning something so beautiful that moved him to tears this week because it was real. It was authentic. It was his song. It was her song. That we are now blessed with not the fact that there's an empty seat. We just experienced his grandmother here with us right now, this morning, today. She's not gone. She was right here. She was in Dylan's heart. Dylan's heart was strumming the music that didn't die with him, that didn't die with his grandmother. It's here right now. So I'd just like for all of us to just take a moment to consider what is the music that is still inside of you, that needs to be called upon, that needs to resonate from that beautiful sound of Om, from the universe, that calls forth love in a way that is unreasonable. It's not going to make sense. It's like, how can you be kind to this person because they've betrayed you? How can you even consider what these other people are saying because of their beliefs? What if you just sung your belief?
Yeah, they weren't listening. He wasn't listening to anyone's song but God's, which is...
That's right. What if we weren't moved
refreshing
by what someone else's belief is? We're moved by the belief that's welling up inside of us. We summons the angels that have gone before us. I know that when my dad goes and takes a nap every day, he is with his family. He's with his brothers. He's experiencing things he's never experienced before. That is diving in the kingdom of heaven. What is the song that is still wanting to be played in this lifetime? That is so beautiful, Dylan. When heaven calls. And let me tell you, heaven's calling all the time. All the time. Do we have the ears to actually hear? Do we have the discipline to actually be silent enough to hear when God speaks? Let him this week lead you beside the still waters, for his name's sake, not yours. Let goodness and mercy follow you all the days of your life, because you heard when heaven called. And heaven's calling. Heaven just gave me a call yesterday saying, Tamara and Greg, will you please marry us? We're on our way out, but we don't want to leave this world with this love, this song inside of us without a ceremony that said we were here. What an honor. What an honor to have music. They're picking out their music right now that will be played that represents the love in their heart. He's got a feeding tube. So we're setting up chairs that will make it comfortable for them to have their ceremony that we get to be a part of. And they are not going to die with the love of that music inside of them. It's going to happen next month right here at Unity. And it's only because Greg and I said, yes, yes, Lord, whatever you would have us do. Tomorrow, I've just asked for your prayers. We're going to be taking Dad down to UCLA, and they're going to be able to use some of the latest technology to open up his esophagus so that he's able to eat, so that he's able to breathe easier, so that he's able to live in comfort. And we're just praying for God's angels all around us and in his body and out of his body, so that his song continues to sing through him. And his song is really a song of kindness. When you meet Dad, when you see Dad, there's a gentle kindness within his soul that touches all of us. And his song will never die. Never. It will reverberate throughout all of eternity.
Chivalry.
Just like your grandmother was here with us today and always, and is lighting something inside of you, Dylan. A hole is being filled that has been vacant because you said yes. You said yes to hearing heaven's voice. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you, Dylan. And by the way, Jerry donated a whole bunch of books. When the previous minister here decided to sell the church, he sold, one of the first things he did is sold and gave away all the books. So our library's been really depleted. So Jerry donated a whole bunch of books that are in the office there. So anybody that's looking for, something inspiring.
Jerry, that guy we're going to marry.
Yeah, the guy we're going to marry has been a long time Unity member. So we now have a new library, thanks to Jerry.
It's beautiful. Dylan, what came up for you from the service?
Well, really, I don't have a whole lot else to say than what I said earlier. I guess the thing I'll add, a lot of the reason, part of the reason, rather, why my grandmother is so important to me, and will forever be, is because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be playing piano. She led me to my first teacher. When my first teacher left, I went to a second teacher, and that teacher alone is the reason why I'm even able to play in front of people. Wow. She gave me the opportunity to do recitals and competitions. So, I mean, it all started with my grandmother, and I mean, I don't know how all that started or what sort of talk went on, but I often wonder what my life would be like if either A, I was playing a different instrument or singing, like as just kind of my main thing, and even more so if I just, maybe I was just athletic instead of, musical. Um, it's when I talk to people, I very, very, very frequently forget that not everyone plays an instrument, that not everyone is surrounded by a world of music. And to me, that I'm not trying to offend anyone, but that's just baffling.
Yeah.
I often wonder what a world without music constantly going through your mind every single day of almost every single hour is like. And my purpose in life is to help people, and so in playing the piano, it's almost like I'm helping people to understand what a world of music really is, and or is like at that. And I wish that everyone knew, maybe not knew what I knew, but that everyone could experience what I've experienced, especially this past Tuesday. I mean, when I broke down, I was in a state of bliss, and really in all my years of playing piano, that's only happened 3 times. 2 times before this last time, but this last time it was. Man, it was stronger than ever, and it was just so powerful and peaceful. And I asked some people a while ago about the feeling, and it's like I told them, I don't know what I'm really feeling. What am I feeling? And they said, and I quote, "What you're feeling is spiritual."
Yeah.
And so I can understand that. It's but just that sense of pure bliss. It's like kind of what I'm quoting from a show now. It's like the sunlight is against my face and just staying there and holding me and just allowing me to just be without any other obstacles or intrusions.
Wow.
What a great visual.
Beautiful, beautiful, Dylan.
You know, while you were talking, I was grab my phone, because I have a friend down in Hollywood. His name's Steve Robertson. And he's been trying to get, he likes hanging with celebrities, so he's always trying to, get more and more groups together. But he's got a group of very famous musicians, famous performers, and he's been trying to get this together for, well, I've seen him do it 3 times and have it fail, where he's trying to get a world concert together, where if he can get everybody playing music that is loving and peaceful and soul-filling at a time, he believes that if the whole world will do it at once, then because of the vibration it'll create a permanent change. So interesting guy. I'll introduce you, because he needs to meet you and you need to meet him. But, it's fascinating. Music has always been in so many different worlds. You see kids that are lost working in recovery. So often they're just lost and broken, and you're trying to jam them into some school system where they're tested and they fail and they pass and they got to fit in. And all of a sudden they find an instrument and it's like they thrive. And they're just in connection with something far more organic than society. It's really cool to see. So I'm glad you found your savior through song.
Yeah, beautiful. And Jerry, what came up for you?
Well, it's interesting. Dylan said some people can't play music. I have trouble with the brain. But, when I was in 3rd grade, everyone had to play the toenail. I strongly disliked playing the toenail, and that shut me off the music. Now, as I've gotten older, I wish that I had learned to play an instrument. But, it's interesting.
What's a tonet? Is that a flute or something?
Yeah, it's a little plastic whistle.
It's like a flute.
It has 3 holes in the top.
Okay, got it.
Oh.
Probably cost $1.98 back then. And so that was music education at that time. And the other thing was that today about the 23rd Psalm. I think that's probably one of the stories that anyone who's had any affiliation with the church knows. And certainly there are points in life where that 23rd Psalm comes to you and goes through your mind. And, it's, I
was
Yeah.
yours?
What was my what?
Where the 23rd Psalm came to you? As this-
I think there's many, many times. I would guess, well, I certainly remember the first time that I heard a mortar fall, that, you know, that came to mind. Uh, I think there's probably many instances in life, but that one certainly stands out.
the 23rd Psalm.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. And our Miss Judy, thank you, Jerry, for sharing. Our Miss Judy, what came up for you today? Then we'll go to Dad.
Well, I'll just say good morning to everyone.
Good morning.
Planning on staying in and keeping cool.
Oh, good for you. Was there anything that came up for you from the service today?
Not in particular. No.
Okay. Well, good. We're so glad you're with us. Thank you, Judy.
Mhm.
And Dad, what came up for you today?
Well, I thought it was very interesting, especially with where smoke of what the earth is all made about, and that's vibrations. And I will play a little for you right now. Ma 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 ma.
That's perfect, Dad. We love your vibration.
I
We,
vibrated with this instrument that I have in my mouth.
yeah, that's
Oh,
so
yeah.
perfect, Dad. Thank you. We love your music. Your music
Love you
is
guys.
awesome. Love you. Okay, perfect. Okay, Dylan, let's see. We'll go with Divine Love Through Me,
Blesses and multiplies. all
blesses and
that I have.
multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. And whatever you want to play, Dylan.